reply from Elyoya. Manages to get him at Chasy, knocked underneath the tower. There's two
shots. Chasy's taken down. Well played by BrokenBlade. BrokenBlade may need to use that flash. Dashes for now. Gets stunned up by Elyoya. It's gone all out. Pulls Chasy underneath the tower, and he does it once more.
Make Shelly dance. Make Shelly dance. Oh my god, bro.
Good job.
Clean game, guys.
At least it was longer than 1647.
That's a win in my book.
Like, what are you supposed to say?
No, I don't know. Look, we were visited by the Top Father. We went to the green room for half a second. You know what he left us on the Analysts desk? I don't even know when he had time for this, but he left the pelt of a Mad Lion. There's just not even, I don't know why he would do such a thing, but that's too far.
I mean, it's just, I don't even know what to say. Everyone has been performing so well on G2. I feel like everyone's on point, but it's just everything just went downhill from top lane.
Let's take a, okay, we were talking about this in the green room too, right? The fact that we saw K'Sante doing this a lot before. How is this still happening?
The thing is, we've seen this a lot, you know. K'Sante fell out of meta at some point, and I was like, this is stuff that's been happening in like Winter Split, you know, when there was this split where the stats of every top laner, everyone had like 10 solo kills, when previously everyone has like only one, and it's just. Why? It is because of stuff like this.
Yeah, because you would just get flipped into the turret at like level 3 every game.
Yes, everyone's just like forgetting that K'Sante can do that, and it's like even this gank, it's okay, sure, killable still, definitely not killable. Now we're gonna queue in, and we're gonna.
Yeah, the fact too that with all of his mobility that Elyoya can't even hit him, like, BrokenBlade is healing more than he's taking damage in this fight.
I mean, this is what happens when you don't see champions that are meta, kind of fall out of meta, and they have this like niche way of like making plays.
I think maybe, are we at danger of not giving BrokenBlade any credit? I put a vote, or I let someone do this for me, put a vote on Discord, in the LEC Discord, if it was an outplay or if it was trolling from the enemy team, and 78% said it was an outplay. Was it a little bit of both, maybe?
I think it's an outplay for sure, because the thing is, you need to be able to capitalize and see these opportunities, and sure, Mad Lions created a lot of these opportunities to outplay, but it's mad props to him for taking it, because if you're not punishing people inting, then you're not doing the right things, you know? And sure, his champion has a lot of tools to do this, and they gave it to him a lot this game, but it's still, he could have easily not taken them, you know? So it's like, I think it's just completely outplay. It's just...
Look, it's a modern League of Legends champ. It has a lot of tools of the dashes, the knockouts, and everything, but like how he was moving to like go forward to be able to bring the enemy champion back and then flip them again, like that was very nice played. First kill, that was some light trolling.
I think Jax was crazy there. I mean, you're in front of the tower and he just gets so angry that the wave is there, he decides, well, I'm gonna queue him, and then he just gets flipped in the tower and like, oh, I'm dead.
Yeah, it was crazy. We also have Telestrator in just a second. I think the game went so fast that we weren't able to make everything.
There was a Lissandra
that
support.
needed to be made. There was also a Lissandra bot, but this was entirely crazy. And you're right, you still have to capitalize off it, but it's insane. I'm already thinking, oh no, I just don't want to think.
Don't do that.
The series isn't over yet.
Tough.
I'm not thinking anymore. The series is definitely not over yet, but it's kind of one of those defeats, Odoamne, that you're like,
yeah, you kind of want to just move on and forget about it, because I think even with Nautilus, we had many of these throughout this year where, you know, the first game of the series is just terrible, and then you just need to make some slight adaptations. It just sucks, but yeah, you can easily bounce back. It's still a 5-game series, you know. You might have just like learned. Maybe next game you don't get flipped by K'Sante into your tower.
Doesn't look like
it doesn't look so great.
I love the confidence, or I love the perspective. The Telestrator is ready, and we're going to learn about Lissandra as support from GP.
Yay. Yeah, I'm glad you guys talked about
Lissandra as well, because that did exist too. There's too much happening in this game. It was hard to only focus on one thing, but this is not anything new from Mikyx. It's new on the LEC, but he's been spamming this in solo queue. He's the second most played champion on his main account as well. Now, one of the reasons why it's so oppressive is because it's into the Rakan matchup specifically, and I pulled a few highlights here. It's absolutely impossible for the Rakan to ever get a W in, but before that, let's look at the runes. So it's back to the Aftershock. You're playing down in the bot lane. You still want to have some tanky stuffs, so having a W that procs is super good for you. The really niche adaptation we see from Mikyx as well is that he's going conditioning instead of bone plating. Now, bone plating you often see when you want to fist fight level 2 and just get in there and fight all the time, but this for Mikyx means that he's playing more for the mid to late game as well. He's playing more for the other stats. And then perfect timing and cosmic insight. Perfect timing because you're building Sonya's. This is value. This lets you have playmaking. It lets you dive, but also cosmic insight because you need flash all the time. Also one of the reasons why you'll see him buy Lucidity boots. But let's get into the gameplay itself, so you can actually see for yourself how annoying it is to be a Rakan. Look at Hilly. Every single time he dashes in, Mikyx just gonna do this, boom. The thing that how Rakan works is that whoever CCs him while he's in the air for his W just gets cancelled. That's why Nautilus can also be a counter to him, but Mikyx takes it to the next level with the Lissandra because it's so much easier. You don't even need to hit the hook. You just press W when you see him dash, and his entire champion is dead. Once you reach level 6 as well, Rakan can never engage on you because you will just ult him. And that's a different play we have as well, because they're just gonna straight up go for a 2 versus 3 as well. Hansama knows that the enemy bot lane is still around. He doesn't really know that Elyoya is around, but it don't really matter because you can see right now in the replay, Mikyx is only level 5, Hansama is level 8, Carzzy is level 7. But what is really pivotal about this play is that they're actually going to hit the minions first, so in a bit, Mikyx will reach level 6. Just now he hits it, and that means he can use the W in the beginning on Carzzy. They can then connect with the ultimate afterwards on Carzzy on the Ezreal, have the stopwatch ready. They still had the Kalista ultimate, so they could have chased on this so much further if they wanted to go for a dive with Yike around the corner. But it just means how oppressive it is this lane. And once again, something that Mikyx had ready from solo queue. Don't always want to play what's meta. He creates his own meta. I'm going to toss it back to the Analysts to break the rest of the game down.
Thank you so much, GB. A lot to break down, Ender. You know, it's cool that they're... I think a lot of people will only be thinking about the top lane. Oh, our MVP's running. Don't make him run. Gosh.
Did the heartbeat
Run
pumping.
it down, maybe, but but there were some things maybe in the beginning of the game that we didn't quite.
Well, really, it's just like the whole like first 3 minutes of the game is just like signature vintage G2 that they were playing all the way back in the winter split, and this is why like teams just have to be aware of this and beat it. For example, like Caps loves to make mid lane as volatile as possible, right? So he starts W, jumps on Nisqy that was actually spotted on the ward by Raptors, and goes for the all-in because it's all about making that mid lane really flippy. If any jungle intervention can be involved, that'll be important. But also, so consistently, they would always have bot lane 2 versus 2 push. In this game, it manifests because they have the Lissandra, so Mikyx can just walk in front of the wave, and it enables Yike to just look for these invades, even though he's on the Maokai. But this is how G2 have been playing all year long, and teams still haven't found a consistent way to beat it.
Yeah, they love having this playstyle where they have a lot of options open, because the thing is, if there's multiple volatile lanes, then enemy team is like, which lane do we cover? Do we need to cover mid lane? Do we need to cover bot lane? Where are they going to make a play? And this is also tied down to Yike's playstyle, where he invades, he gets vision of the enemy jungle, and then it's so easy for G2 to be like, okay, enemy jungle is going away from here, he's going to go into top side, so that means that bot lane is open for a play. And that's why it's really, really hard to match G2, because they always draft these lanes where they have a lot of playmaking early game.
Yeah.
Caps, sure, mid lane matchup is a bit neutral, but he chose to make it volatile just because he knows that bot lane will have this freedom to move around the map. He knows that Yike's game plan is to take 3 camps and start invading and find enemy jungle. They just want to create as much chaos as possible, so it becomes really hard for Mad Lions to anticipate where they will go next.
Yeah, I mean, by the 3rd wave, Caps had Nisqy down to 150 HP. Like, that's nuts.
Oh, just one of the things that went wrong for the Mad Lions are going to have to turn it around. What do they have to do? Casters, do you guys know? Let us know.
No, we haven't got a clue, but we're going to find out what Mad Lions decide to do. Welcome back to the Kai'Sa desk for game number 2. Mad Lions are on the blue side, and I think in particular, they do need to find some answers in the early game. We were talking about it last week. Struggled against Excel today, struggling in that first game. The opening minutes, G2 were just everywhere. They roamed, they created those opportunities.
Yeah, it was so difficult for Mad Lions to kind of do anything, especially when you got that early roam coming through from Mikyx, and you got the invade coming through from Yike as well. They tried to set themselves up for success, but it was just not meant to be.
So into game 2, what's the plan for Mad Lions? Interesting ban comes through already in the Rumble to try and deny some kind of maybe Rel comp. We'll see if they decide to take Rel as well here, away as well. G2. Mad Lions can target things like the Kalista if they want. The Tristana seems like a pretty high priority pick. I feel like guaranteed mid push with Tristana unlocks AP junglers as well, and it just makes it so G2's comp will always be strong in a lot of stages of the game.
It just sucks though when you're trying to play against G2, because now they've just added another layer to the, hey, we've got a counter for that thing you like to play, right? So you've now got the Kai'Sa is going to be banned, but it's like, you try to go towards the Rakan, we've got the Lissandra now. If you try to go towards the Renekton, we've got the Kled. If you want to try and go towards like a Kai'Sa, we got it. Well, we had the Kalista. Like, even just the fact that you can still go back towards Cogbrom and stuff like this. So if you want to go towards Azir, like, it makes it so difficult to actually play against this team and draft against this team.
Yeah, and if G2 leave Poppy up, they'll likely play that into the Tristana, but Maokai is still available. I wonder if that's the last ban here for G2, as LeBlanc's going to be taken away from the Mad Lions. Maybe that's their decision of the answer to the Tristana mid from Nisqy. But we've still got things like the Azir. We saw it last game, very reliable. We haven't seen a Tristana game out of Nisqy yet, though.
So it's going to be the Jace, leaving that Maokai open, leaving that Poppy open as well. Mad Lions, will they prioritize here?
The Ivern as well.
Mind that Ivern, it was banned away by Mad in game number 1.
Is G2 going to run the Evelyn? Are they going to do it? They did it against BDS. We saw a lot of Karthus into the Ivern as well from Fnatic, or just Karthus in general, and Tristana's up. So if they want to do Tristana AP jungler, they can do it. Do they believe in the Evelyn? Do they want to run it back? FiddleSticks time!
FiddleSticks! What?
They found an AP jungler that might work a little bit better. Now this champion is incredibly strong and slightly underrated, I think, at times. Now, it is vulnerable in some stages of the game, but still, the looming threat of FiddleSticks, insane damage on his ult, fierce, everything you need.
But it's also just a case of you need to be ahead with this champion, right? Because like, if you start to give up space, you end up falling super far behind. You don't have the opportunity to come in over the walls. So G2 definitely need to get off the bat early.
Why did they blind Renekton? I feel like that just sets up G2 for Kled on 3. Yeah. Their top side already just seems absurdly strong, especially around Herald fights. They can afford to drop bot lane. Zaya's up, Zeri's up, Aphelios. Supports are available, Rakan. So if they're picking mid lane here like Azir or some kind of match into the Tristana, then there you go, Kled on 3. Is this really a winning top side for Mad Lions?
Maybe they're like, hey, look, we'll take the Renekton, we'll take an AD carry. No, they're actually going to take the Azir and be like, hey, we can ban away one of the two so we get one winning side of the matchup. But yeah, I don't know. This is a weird one.
The only risk with Kled on 3 here is top will be very volatile and FiddleSticks will want to farm a little bit, and the Ivern has a bit more uptime in the early stages. So if BB doesn't want a super volatile lane, he can pivot something like the Jax. But, or the Yone.
I mean, hold up, Brett. This is the 5th time that we've seen FiddleSticks in major regions this year. This will be the first time ever for Yike. And with their Kled being locked in, you mentioned a moment ago, Caedrel, some windows of opportunity if Mad Lions can play around it, you know, get a bit of an early ball going. The only thing is, we haven't really seen that from Mad. They haven't had the strongest of early games.
No, they definitely haven't. They struggle against XL, but team fights were their bread and butter, and they have a lot of scaling here. They might look at something like the Sivir again, or some kind of a Aphelios, Zeri, team fighter AD carries that G2 will try to deny. Maybe leave counter picks for support on 5 unless they want to go for an early Rakan with FiddleSticks Kled. That's a lot of engage.
Yeah. The only thing I don't want to see from Mad Lions is going back towards the Ezreal here. I think like getting something that can actually become a late game scaling champion, as you say, like with the Sivir or even the Varus that they played the last time, is going to work out significantly better. But in this situation, it's kind of hard because there's going to be so much go buttons that are coming your way from G2 that you need something that has some sort of self-peel. And with the Zaya gone, maybe it ends up just being a case of, well, we kind of got to sack the bot lane so that then Carzzy can actually play the game.
They could ban Nautilus here and play for Rakan on 4 and then pick AD last, or they can just target the Zeri Aphelios. It's going to be Alistar for now, though.
The next question is going to be, what will happen in this bottom lane? Summer and Mikyx have demonstrated a wide variety of duos throughout the course of Summer. Technically, we can still see that Tristana move if they want to. Won't obviously expect it with that Azir in the mid lane, and Mad Lions got one last ban here.
Yeah, I imagine that you're going to actually get something like a Kai'Sa coming out for Hansama here, where you can just go, right, well, we've got a ton of dive. Let me just follow up myself with the ultimate as well, so I have the opportunity to reposition. The Lissandra ban here screams the Mad Lions want to try and go for that Rakan on their next rotation, so maybe you try to just take it away here, but you could end up with the Nautilus coming out as answer for
Hylissang. They could give them Rakan and play Maokai support into it if they pick Kai'Sa here on 4, and I feel like you've like counter-matched them. They're trying to bait Rakan on 4 and playing Nautilus into it. They could give them Rakan and then play something else into it, like the Maokai on Nautilus. All depends what G2 want to do, really. AD here. They can even go Ziggs if they want. Gonna go for the Jinx at the moment, though.
Okay, surprised by that one? Or does it sort of fit in here in terms of what we've seen from G2?
I think they're kind of saying, hey, look, there's not really much that you can take here that can match bot lane push if we take the Jinx. And then we're in a position where it's like, okay, we have a very much a go forward button coming through from the Kled with the FiddleSticks as well. So as long as we can try and keep priority on that bottom side of the map, chances are we'll be able to get Yike into a position where he can farm up and then play for the big FiddleSticks ults in those later fights.
Gonna go for the Kai'Sa is Carzzy. Yeah, the Jinx will have a lot of range to match the Azir in a sense, and also resets feel pretty safe and secure with the amount of damage they already have. Is it Kai'Sa Rakan? Is it Kai'Sa? No, I feel like G2 have response to everything. Rakan will get responded by Nautilus Maokai. Maokai and Nautilus will get responded by Braum. And even then, they could still play a Lulu lane into Kai'Sa Rakan. They have a lot of engage already if they just want to put Mikyx on a Lulu. So I feel like this blind support here for Hilly is always going to sting. Play for team fights, there's the Nautilus.
Instant Nautilus. Okay, so number of options here from G2 seem to have an answer to everything Mad Lions wanted to do. The thing I want to keep an eye on is how effectively they move around the map again. When you see this composition, they want to get in the face of Mad Lions.
Yeah, I think the only thing is that it's not going to be as explosive as an early game when I kind of look at it. Like, Jinx doesn't really want to be left by her alone in that bot lane, especially against something like Rakan and the Kai'Sa. So I think Mikyx will have his work cut out to be as impactful in the early stages, but you still got good control on top, good control in mid, pushing bot. So as long as Yike is in a position to just farm it out, maybe even look for some invades off the push that he has, I think he'll be able to scale, and then you can look for big team fights and objectives.
Track the fiddle. That's what Mad Lions got to do. Even if they track the fiddle, I'm not sure if they have a lot of pushing lanes to be able to punish it. You know, you saw BDS playing Adam's Darius just constantly invading Yike and trying to solo kill him on his respawn camps. Don't know if Chasy's going to be able to do that, so not as many tools as what BDS had to shut down this farming AP jungler. And yeah, FiddleSticks is a little bit less vulnerable in Evelyn, I feel like.
We'll find out how Mad Lions keep a track of Yike, how well they're going to play out this early game. Cannot afford to let G2 get ahead with the composition they put together. Mad Lions were obliterated in game number 1. Let's find out if they can bounce back in game number 2. Let's hit the rift for G2 vs Mad. Okay, let's keep a close eye now on Elyoya and Yike and how this early jungling will play out. In game number 1, G2 were able to invade and punish Elyoya, taking over that eastern quadrant. Right now, defensive start once again. No shenanigans afoot from either side. Let's see whether or not Yike can actually be held back, whether or not the early kind of phases for this fiddlestick will be punished.
Yeah, I just don't really see, as Caedrel was saying already, like a way for you to really punish this. Yeah. Like, you got pushed pretty much across all 3 lanes. As long as BrokenBlade is able to get into a position where he's able to kind of play as we saw. I think it was like, we saw it earlier today, where it was like BrokenBlade was ahead of his wave coming in, was just like playing off the back creeps, making sure he could play with Bear Trap and a rope into this matchup. So I think if you can try and get ahead here, which looks like BB is going to try and do now, you can just zone Chasy off the wave and make it so difficult for him to actually do much in this matchup.
Yeah, FiddleSticks will lie out of vision so long that even on the HUD, he's just invisible. They need to track where he is. They need to find him at all times. The thing is, in the mid game, if you lose track of that FiddleSticks for just 1 second, then you're sieging a tower, he's just going to ult flash over any wall, and the gap close insane. He's playing sudden impact as well, so obviously FiddleSticks doesn't have a dash, but the blink, of course, on the ult just means that he's going to get so much magic pen.
Just got this horrible feeling that he'll be using that Crow Storm into that bottom lane with Hansama and Nautilus, being played by Mikyx. You see that blue buff there from G2. Mad Lions have put a little ward down, so we'll have some information in the next few minutes. And as this battle towards level 2 is playing out, Hansama and Mikyx are going to be able to get there first, I believe. Got a quick glimpse there of Caps and Nisqy. Same matchup as game number 1, but no early advantage, no early level 1 trade going in favor of Caps this time around.
Yeah, I think this is where you're going to see the problem that happens with Ivern, right? It just, you don't really get an opportunity to try and go for his invades very regularly because you're so reliant on having your smite up. Now you're going to get Elyoya going for a full clear here. Might be able to try and help out in this topside matchup a little bit, but I imagine he's just going to try and swing his way back through, go for the Scuttlers.
Ooh, Dredgeline connects, and he finds the knock-up onto Hansama. Small trade between the two of them. Is making his way down towards this portion of the map, and so is Elyoya. Keep a close eye on that. While that's going on, Chasy's pushing top, and Caps is pushing mid. Spots out there onto Elyoya.
I'm not sure if we can get a replay of what Yike did on the Krugs. Did we see it on live, the way he cleared it? It was actually really cool to see the FiddleSticks pathing. Now, you used to be able to do Wolves and Blue at the same time as well, but like doing multi-camps at the same time, you can see he's already full cleared at 3 minutes, and he's basing and going to run topside to avoid Elyoya at all costs. So you can see G2 will play a little bit safer on this bottom side of the map.
Elyoya did walk across that ward, so information was gained. We're not going to be able to find an opportunity for now. Chasy's got 10 CS advantage, pushed all the way into BrokenBlade, forced him to dismount. Keep an eye on the minimap, in the river. Multiple champions about to go toe-to-toe, and Caedrel, there's your picture-in-picture.
Yeah, look at how he does all the he does Raptors red at the same time, then he pulls Krugs and does Krugs red at the same time. So you can see after he finishes this, he can just pop E, and then he can get all of the small ones as well. And then he finishes off the red, and 3 minutes, 40 seconds, topside river after a top-to-bot clear. This is insane speed from the FiddleSticks.
Great call out, Caedrel, and thank you, observers, pulling off the magic tricks there. So Yike doing a phenomenal job thus far. Immediately stepping forward. Level 4 for now. He's once again going to place that vision inside Madline's jungle, and Caps and Nisqy trading dead even for the time being. Both junglers getting closer and closer towards that first engage.
But that's the thing, it's like you're kind of going right, Elyoya. Well, nicely able to spot out the ward immediately, but it's you kind of need to make something happen, right? And it's so difficult to try and do so when Caps is going to be able to jump away. You're not really going to be able to do too much there. You've still got Hansama and Mikyx with everything open available on bot side, but you want to try and beat Yike to the punch, because kind of similar to a Nocturne, if he's just able to farm up towards level 6, that's a disaster. But Yike's here to match Elyoya.
Yeah, certainly is. And Yike's going to be close to level 5 as well, so he can level up in this skirmish. And I'm not sure if Madlines want this.
He sidesteps the seed and is going to be dismounted. The fear's coming out. The Reap is burning through Chasy and Elyoya's hit points. BrokenBlade's a little bit low, waiting for Skull, slowly building up, and both 2v2 just staring down one another.
But that's the thing, for FiddleSticks at level 4 or level 5, you're just not that threatening, right? You're good at being there for a counter engage. They're like, hey, look, I can counter gank, so I can be like, I'm going to buy space from a laner. But in terms of damage or any sort of setup, it's not great. So you can kind of see it there. It just gets BB out of harm's way, but he's not able to do too much.
That's exactly his job, though, really, isn't it? It's FiddleSticks. Just clear as fast as possible and try to match Elyoya where possible so that BrokenBlade doesn't fall behind. And if you find jungle for G2, then bot can push out on base and mid can push out on base, and this just frees up the lanes to allow the bridge from early to mid game so much easier. You know, BrokenBlade's now safe in this lane. He can remount. He's going to get reganked. You know, Elyoya really wants to snowball this top side, so he's going to have to be careful. But of course, the FiddleSticks ward is there, and he'll be spotted out. So I think that Yike's clear speed, the fact that he was 2 camps up on that top contest, and also defended his top laner, has been really good so far. But it looks like Mad are going to full commit to this. Chasy's going to get level 6 off of this cannon minion. Can they dive the Kled though?
Oh, we're going to think about it. Is on the Skull for now. Flash still available for BrokenBlade. We mentioned that advantage for Yike. He's currently got an 8 CS advantage over Elyoya. Mikyx's now making his way towards this top lane. Hylissang's already there. So if anything happens, it's a 3v2.
Yeah, Mikyx's gonna have to be careful on the face check. Oh, Caps.
Emperor's Divide, beautifully done. Cap's able to hop over the wall and escape with his life. Now, Mikyx is wandering into trouble. Forces to flash from Hylissang. Here comes Chasy. Dominus still available to him as well. BrokenBlade on level 5. Bear Trap connects onto Chasy. Pulls him back for the time being, and Nisqy's also roaming up, so all of that time invested, nothing to come from it.
Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty volatile matchup, though, between the Kled and the Renekton, so the fact that Chasy's getting this help is great. Mikyx
is in so much trouble. Stretch lines into the wall. Nisqy's going to get over himself with that QE. The fear from Yike will allow Mikyx once again to dredge line to safety or not. Hilly and Chasy pushing deep into the jungle. Kill secured. First blood to Mad Lions and Chasy's Renekton. While that's going on, Caps now hops on top of Nisqy's head. Empress Divide is on cooldown. Nisqy's still got that flash. Conquering stands forward and Hilly steps in as well. So Mad Lions, they finally get a small win in their top lane.
Definitely do. You can see 1 second Caps is being a bit greedy for that ward, but he's got his rocket jump available in case any problems occur. But you can see there was a line of brushes in between the towers that Mad Lions was zoning BB away. And Mikyx had to brute force his way into the lane by flashing over skill shots, because once those skill shots are down, BB can walk up and he's underneath the tower, so he can farm. But yeah, in the long end of the play, greeting for that pink ward was a bit too much.
Okay, Mad Lions, 7.5 minutes in. Now the first one to strike in the top lane. And importantly, Chasy with that blind pick Renekton is the recipient of the kill. Still going to hold on to that small advantage for the time being. However, it does come at the cost of the fact that Hansama is able to pick up the plate and a significant CS advantage over his opposite number.
I'm curious how Mad want to try and continue to play this, although we might be looking
Yike can
level
ult here.
6.
He's put a ping down. He can go for this.
Level 6, it's time for the Crow Storm! Carzzy forced to cleanse and flash away, and Hilly's already dead. Yike is going to step forward once again, throws down the ultimate, gets zapped in the face and shot by Hansama. 2 quick kills for G2 in the bottom lane. Caps goes forward, his Emperor's Divide backwards, and the Sand Soldiers pick it up.
What did Caps just do? He just jumped in. But maybe... What did Caps just do? Anyway, G2 pull off a great bot dive. You can see the bot pressure in isolation for the Jinx. That's the scaling lane. They play top side to cover. They can play aggressive on bot side. Level 6, first ult for FiddleSticks, 2 kills.
Yeah, I think this is really, really nice from G2, because I was about to say, I think Mad want to try and split the map and pay for Herald, so Yike ends up just immediately going down to bot. You've got the hook that's already in position. The amount of damage that's there is absolutely absurd, so great setup for G2. And the fact that Elyoya is here as well means that he's not really able to do too much, but I think for Mad, you need to start playing towards Rift Herald as... Look, I ain't going to ignore this. Like, I don't know what's going on.
Maybe he didn't think he had mana for ult. Maybe he miscalculated the mana from the Azir ult, but still, bit of a mistake.
Yeah, I think here, though, the fact that Mad got Rift Herald is actually really crucial. I think the best way to try and play FiddleSticks is to get down towers, so then you can shrink the amount of positions that FiddleSticks can be in and the amount of threat that he offers. And it just means that you can stick wards in places where you expect Fiddle to come over, but if you end up giving over the Rift Heralds, your opportunities to try and play aggressive board towers where FiddleSticks isn't there is going to be really, really tough. So we'll have to see if Mad can try and start that snowball in their favor.
Big trade there in the top lane. Dominus was dropped by Chasy. BrokenBlade's lost his mount. Elyoya just waiting in the wings. Not going to go in just yet. All right, Dragon was secured there by G2. We're dead even on gold. BrokenBlade forced to back away. More turret plate's going to fall here in favor of Chasy and the Mad Lions. Accelerating this Renekton even further ahead. He's 1.2k now. With this Rift Herald dropped, I mean, Dagda will play into at least one of the opportunities, although you would have expected that FiddleSticks to play around the other lanes.
I think these are the repercussions of 2 things. 1, Caps making a mistake and dying, and 2, Yike ulting bot. You know, you got 2 kills, it was fantastic, love it, great play. You don't have ult for the Herald fight on the top side 3v3, which you could theoretically win at this kind of stage in the game, right, with Kled and Tristana, but yeah, they end up losing it. You know, Yike just went towards Drake because of the ult missing. And they lost the tower for it now. So Chasy's ahead, 2,000 gold.
And huge as well. The fact that Nisqy is still ahead of Caps. He's been able to hold on to that tower, maintain control, punishing that mistake. It's going to be huge for these potential fights. Take a look here. Hansama and Mikyx moving into the alcove. No support from the rest of the squad, though. Level 6 for Mikyx over the level 5 for Hilly.
I want to see now how Mad Lions can use Chasy's advantage, though, because I think realistically you need to start moving. Oh, hang on.
Oh, what is this? What is this? Emperor's Divide back, flash and W away. Caps is taken out by Daisy and the Sand Soldiers. What was that teleport?
Oh, yeah.
Here comes Ghost into the middle lane. Won't be able to find the Terrifier of the Fear. Trying to strain with the Bountiful Harvest, and that's 2 kills donated. What is going on?
This is the duality of G2. They make such calculated plays one game, and the next game you have no idea what the hell's happening. Caps is TPing into Nisqy's face.
Dead.
Yoya's there. BB's over pushing a lane. He might have to find a way to ult out here, but Yoya can block it if he wants to. I'm not sure if he'll die. Looks like they'll give up on the play. And then Yike tries to save the play, but he's not in range for the ult flash, so he just doesn't even get the fear.
I don't know what's going on in G2's head at all. Like, that was an absolute disaster. And the fact now as well, the Yike had to blow that ultimate means that he's off the map for a little while as well. And you're getting a bunch of kills into Nisqy, who's now got that Crown of the Shattered Queen completed as well. So, I mean, for Mad Lions, they're going to take everything that they can here, because this is a miracle that they're getting.
If you turned off the nameplates, you would not know it's the same team and the same
I would know this was
5
LEC.
players. Unbelievable. So G2 are now 2,300 gold down. Dragons up in only 2.5 minutes, and Mad Lions, they're going to be emboldened by this. I think the fact that both of their solo lanes are so far ahead is great. But keep in mind, Hansama is 1,000 gold up over Carzzy. But it's going to be a little bit harder for him to play if his front line just gets absolutely melted.
Yeah, I think the Azir being ahead is the biggest problem. Can itemize into the crown, has a Rakan and an Ivern next to him to peel. And he's going to dodge away from the hook. And the Kled items, look at BB right now. He's sitting on a Caulfield and a longsword. Maybe he has a good base timer for buying an item, but he's just so far behind. The Azir is just going to dominate the map. Caps has made too many mistakes in this lane to get any kind of push now, even with the static shiv.
I mean, thrift saw shopping there for BrokenBlade. Into the completed Gore Drinker for Chasy. He's pushed all the way to that inner turret. Doesn't have a lot of vision to work with. Immediately starts to dip into the darkness. Maybe tries to set up some sort of challenge onto this mid tower. Especially with Dragon coming up in a second. Elyoya also around. Daisy's been dropped. Caps just gets the Buster Shot available. A W over the wall. Here comes Hilly. The quickness has been dropped. The knockup, the killer instinct from Carzzy. Chasy's on a killing spree. And his targets are plenty. Mikyx running away for his life. Gets caught in place. Dredge lines to the wall. And Chasy commits the flash for another kill.
I don't know why you're committing to that as G2 though. You know the BB is completely zoned out from that top side of the map. Yike sidesteps that engage.
Slide, glide, Emperor's Divide. And that's immediately set up. Will Crowstorm away for a few seconds of safety. Finally taken down. Nisqy on a killing spree himself.
I mean, Mad Lions are just punishing G2's mistakes non-stop. The proactivity is there, and G2 aren't respecting it at all. They think they found a pick onto the Ivern by jumping off to the right side there. Caps felt like he was a little bit sandwiched and maybe expecting Mad Lions to be slow on the collapse, but of course they're there. All of them's ready. You know, Killer Instinct's ready to come out, and you can see Caps, what does he do? Does he go backwards here? It's probably the safest play, but he thinks that the Ivern's isolated. But look at the gap close from Nisqy and Chasy to help join this fight, and Hilly to slow it down. Killer Instinct comes through, all 5 of them are here.
But that's the thing, this is on vision as well. Like, the way Mad Lions walked in, they walked straight past the FiddleSticks clone as well. So G2 knew that everyone on Mad Lions was there. So I'm kind of shocked that they decided to commit to this, because you can see where BB is. He was never going to try and join this, and then Yike trying to come back for his wolves. Hilly's waiting in the brush. It's just greedy plays getting punished constantly.
Yeah, it's really greedy, trying to get his wolves in their face. Ults over, tries to survive with the drain, but Hilly tanks it up with the Ivern shields. This is a 3-0 Azir, 1.5k gold up, 3k goldie for Chasy. BB hasn't even been part of anything yet. He hasn't ulted once, so haven't found the team fights that G2 want. The ideal fights is just a big Fiddlesticks ult, you know, Tristana and Jinx free hitting for resets, and the Kled just being the main form of engage next to Nautilus, but it's all spread up, it's all spread out. Mad Lions are always first to every play.
And of course, for Mad Lions, the fact that they can push deeper into G2's jungle,
where's that Gromp going?
It's going to reduce the effectiveness of this Fiddlesticks. Gromp decided to go for a hike of his own, reset, and finally Mad Lions start to back away. Nisqy's chipping away at this bottom tower. G2 don't really have any answer for the time being. Dragon is up. Only one secured by G2 thus far, and Elyoya is going to start this one off.
Yeah, I think you just need to make sure as Mad that you're getting mid and bot pushed in before you try and start this up. You don't want Yike to be coming out of somewhere with that ultimate that's up in a couple of seconds. In onto this, but they've got control of the waves. They're getting control of the towers. Like, G2, this is really starting to fall apart here.
This game is going to have to be the Hansama show, really. He's got a lot of tools to disrupt the enemy team, and they're not that tanky. They have the Ivern shields and the Redemption, which is the biggest pain, but in terms of like raw stats and health bars, there isn't like a massive tank in his face, just there's a lot of peel.
Ooh, Mikyx flashes over the wall. It's the dredge line. Yike starts to channel the Crowstorm. Oh, no, sorry, the effigy rather. He's going to back away. Mad Lions immediately started backing out, respecting the possibility of that engage. Mad Lions currently in complete control.
I mean, Mad are just going to be able to get the Rift Tower. You can see the G2 are going to back away, but just on your Caedrel's point there, it's like, yeah, you've got Hansama that's not up against anyone particularly tanky, but it's the same on the opposite side for G2. Like, it's not like you're going Gore Drinker on BrokenBlade or like into the Death Stance or Sterix or something along those lines. It's Ravenous Hydra first, so you're not going to be particularly tanky on this Kled. You got a Fiddle who doesn't want to be particularly in your front line either, and then you've got an Nautilus who at this stage of the game is just not going to stand up to the front line or the damage that Mad Lions are putting out.
It's going to be very hard, and of course, you know, we talked a little bit about like the duality of G2. Game 1, complete slobber knocker in G2's favor. Game 2, tons of mistakes being punished. Is this going to be another one? Nisqy, he's got everything.
Caps.
Level 12 to level 11, waiting
Hilly's running down
to see what happens here. Once Hilly gets in range, Nisqy will fancy a shot.
I think.
Sand soldiers are up, Caps down to half, and use that Buster Shot. But I mean, for Mad Lions as well, they do have that, you know, ability to perform. We were taking a look at their regular season finishes, 3rd, 7th, 2nd, 8th, 7th. Like, there is a duality to this squad as well. And they've had a pretty good year overall in 23.
Yeah, 23 definitely. Finishing 8th, finishing 7th, still being this competitive. You know, in spring they won the title. In summer they're top 3. Even last year they're finishing 7th in spring. They turn it around and they make worlds, right? So Mad Lions, despite regular season finishes and always making us question how good they are, they always somehow pull it off. And again, game 1, absolute destruction from G2. Game 2, Mad Lions are bouncing back.
I am still questioning how good Mad Lions are, though, because this doesn't feel like a Mad Lions that are the ones setting up the plays and making the plays, right? We've seen Caps leap to his death 3 times. We see Yike try to cover him, Mikyx try to cover him, and Mad it there, right? So it feels a little bit kind of handed to them in this one, but they are doing a good job now that they have control to set up on this mid lane, to get this Rift out now. They should get a second tower, and this is again where that FiddleSticks are just getting less and less space to operate in.
Yeah, there's not a lot of opportunities here for Yike being suffocated across the map. I agree with you, Dagda. I think you're still going to be good enough to catch the throws that are given to you. And now I guess the real test, right? For Mad Lions, how do they press this advantage? It's around 6,000 gold for now. They've got themselves a Dragons, 2 minutes to go for that Baron. They've got a lot of vision pushed deep into G2's jungle.
I don't know what's going on in the Mad Lions team comms, but I'm hearing them randomly shouting words when nothing's happening. They're all just like hysterically laughing at random things. You know, when Caps was potentially a pick, Elyoya, I could hear him going, "Oh, Nisqy." You know, so like they're just having a good time. You know, they're just taking it slow, enjoying themselves. Baron will spawn soon. They have Kai'Sa, Azir. That's an easy rush down whenever they want to. Chasy's 3k gold up, so they have side push. Nisqy's 2k gold up, so they have double side push, and it just feels like it's just a waiting game. Can G2 pull off a super team fight where they get an insane FiddleSticks ult with a wombo combo and get resets for Jinx, or will Mad Lions just shut down every opportunity that they'll have with the FiddleSticks ult? Level 11 soon for Yike. That'll be their best bet, I think, G2.
Yeah, I think the way Mad Lions need to play this is shove mid, shove top, establish vision on that top side jungle, and then just stay hugging that top side of the lane, because as soon as you give that control over to Yike, you can start to try and play around the lack of vision you have set up. But if you're able to actually stick the vision down there and make it stay around, it's going to make it very hard for Yike to really operate in this game. Has the stopwatch now in his back pocket for Yike, so can play hyper aggressive, but it's just a case of actually getting into a position where you can use that ult.
Well, take a look at Mad Lions littering this northern quadrant with wards, with Baron coming up in a few moments. Pushing that vision line, they've got 2 pretty low towers top and middle lane they could play for. G2 maybe trying to defend this top lane. While that's happening, Carzzy's pushing in mid. And this tower should fall, I think. Going to go very, very low. Summer steps forward and Mad Lions decide to back away. Do they force G2's hand? Maybe try pull him towards Baron? I think that might be the call.
Yeah, it's 20 seconds, 15 seconds on the spawn. They really want this mid tier 2 though, so I think they'll stick around, see if they can secure it. Just hold this push G2 back. Only need a couple of auto attacks and then they can start forcing that Baron.
I think it's a little... The only worry I have is that it's literally bang on 20 minutes, right? Yes, they got good damage with the 2 items, but I feel like if you end up trying to rush this, that's when you can give that moment for Yike to come in. So it is a bit of a double-edged sword here for Mad if they want to try and hard force this Baron, because I think that's the one way G2 get back into this.
Alternatively, maybe just try to force G2 to move around. Threaten, bait out the Baron a little bit. They do finally get that inner turret. I was keeping an eye there on Nisqy. He was pushing the bottom lane. Wave was going all the way forward, and Mad Lions have now reset. So that vision that was set up is now slowly being cleared out. Mad Lions not going to pull that trigger, not going to risk it. Dagda instead go for the safe option, go for that second dragon. And they're sitting pretty. I mean, Mad Lions have got tons of scaling on their side. They're fairly happy with the position that they're in. The only thing they have to avoid, in my eyes, is just that surprise FiddleSticks ults.
Yeah, definitely. I think they just took the tower mids. They've all come out of base. The Rakan has 4 wards ready. They have, again, like 2 options here. Top tier 2 is low. Bot tier 2 can be shifted into with the Azir having the push on side. They can play for these side tier 2s and leave it a couple minutes to force the Baron. They don't have to rush it, and I think they can push them away, but I do think some kind of Baron start would just help the game state for Mad Lions, because cracking these tier 2 is a bit tricky with TPs being up on both sides. So just having Nisqy reset, run towards top side, try and get Tristana TP, maybe get some deep wards in their top side, because Hilly's still sitting on 4, and just push G2 out here. Don't let them look for these crazy plays onto your Renekton side lane. They need to make sure they keep tempo up top side.
Hopping over the wall with that blast cone. Chasy's going to be able to at least force G2 to run. Not expecting that movement. Nisqy hops over the wall himself. Time back there from Mikyx. Goes golden, buying some time. Hylissang's trying to catch members with the quickness. Teleport completed. Mikyx gets 1. Bear Trap on a rope comes out. Crowstorm will find the front line, but not much more. Nisqy with a beautiful ultimate sets up 2 quick kills. The Mad Lions find the fight they were looking for.
It's the chase down, isn't it? G2 are kind of running out of time. They're getting choked out their own jungle. They have to look for a pick. Mad Lions need to make sure they're ready to respond to it, and Nisqy was there next to Hylissang. Doesn't use the W, baits out the flashes. The turn from G2 was just weak. There was no real damage, no real threat in Mad Lions. 22 minutes in, we'll get the Baron.
Yeah, I think they were kind of surprised that Chasy ended up coming over that wall as early as he did. They had no control over mid lane. So there was no real way for Hansama to try and catch up. Mad Lions were able to group so fast on the play. And now Baron going across the Mad Lions. I think that's going to be a massive nail in the coffin now for G2.
Yeah,
I mean, look how quickly G2 turn and run as soon as Chasy hops over. Immediately recognizing there's going to be problems.
I mean, you just don't have damage to take to
No.
Chasy. He's 2 items at this stage, the core drinker there as well. And as you said, you already have the control over mid for Mad, so as G2 are trying to run away, Hilly's able to cut off the retreat status, and then just following through. And even here, Yike comes in with the ultimate, but there's just no damage. Yeah, there's nothing left on this Fiddle. It's just gone past its time.
It really has. There's the shuffle onto Hans, who had to flash away from Hilly. And G2 can never really get the team fights they want or the picks that they're looking for. And now they're almost 10,000 gold down, so far behind. Mad Lions can start to threaten dives.
It's 4,000 gold lead for Chasy in the top lane, 2,500 for Nisqy in the mid lane. And after game number 1, definitely think a lot of people are anticipating a very quick 3-0. Mad Lions have clapped back. They punished every mistake that G2 has made, and there have been plenty. And with this Baron empowered push, they're going to at least open up that middle lane. Charge comes forward, and Mad have already backed away. Chasy got their flash, got the Dominus. The rest of Mad continue to push forward. Maybe looking for either the inhib or look, top and bottom lane with teleport for Chasy, just pushing multiple lanes with the Baron.
Yeah, they've got the Azir pushing down on bot side. It's just about creating that pressure. Baron buff as well means that G2 have spent so much time clearing these waves, so they're going to get the bot tower off this push from Nisqy. You've already got the push there for chasing the top end as well, and the second G2 try to transition across the top end, they lose their mid inhib as well.
So what is the answer now from G2? Gonna need a miracle to try claw this back more realistically to game 3 or to clean it up. Nisqy's on that bottom turret. Chasy's pushing BB backwards. He's been dismounted. Inhibitor's about to fall, and it's all coming down around G2's ears. This Red Bull Baron power play is fantastic. 3,000 gold up. There's still a minute to go. 1 inhibitor down, a second will fall. It's only 24 minutes into this game. I mean, G2 won game 1 in around 21, 22-ish minutes. Mad Lions reply back after punishing G2. Set themselves up now for that final push.
I think Mad are just going to play on top waves. Look where Carzzy's standing. Just going to wait to push out, threaten the triple inhibitor, and eventually G2 will have to engage.
All right, Mikyx will catch on Hilly. I don't know if he really wanted it. Damage return from Chasy. Kill secured, though, by Nisqy, and the rest of G2 are now reeling. Baron's still up for another 30 seconds. There's not a lot of minions to work with. G2 in a numbers disadvantage. Yike stepping back. They will not be able to have a surprise Crow Storm. Mad Lions, they might be looking for this push. Baron's going to time out in 15, continuing to usher these minions forward, chipping away at these Nexus turrets. Mad gonna look to even out this series. Yeah, first Nexus turret about to fall in just a moment. A couple shots is all it will need. Still 3 seconds before Mikyx's alive. G2, are you going to try to defend? G2, are you going to try to fight? You have to pull that trigger. The base is just being chipped away. He once again finds the trench line. Crow Storm will force the flash in the cleanse of the Carzzy. He's running for his life. Super Mega Death Rocket does not enough. Unfortunately for G2, down 11,000 gold. They don't have the numbers. They don't have the damage.
Carzzy.
And the final auto is flying all the way across the map.
It's going to hit him.
Will hit him, but will not kill him.
Yeah, there it is. He gets knocked back into the base, but not able to stop it, not able to get the kills. I mean, G2 will hold on to a tower. I think they're hoping they might get a pick and then they can try and contest this next dragon, but all inhibitors down. Like, this is just basically a walkthrough now for Mad Lions in this position.
Is it even a dragon angle? Is it just a 5-man mid with all these inhibitor waves? Hansama can try and farm them up and get to his Lord Dominic as quick as possible, but I think TPs will come in and just run it down. G2 need a hell of a line of defense. No FiddleSticks ult, no Jinx ult, no Kled ult. It's going to be a victory lap here for Mad Lions.
These first 2 games have been head scratchers of note. G2 dominate game 1, then they make so many mistakes. Mad Lions punished. They're looking to close this one out cleanly. Carzzy is going to arrive in a moment or 2. Last Nexus turret's going to fall. 8 seconds before that Crow Storm is available. Capsa's Buster Shot still on cooldown. Turret is currently the focus, is taken down. 1 second for that Crow Storm. I think he's running for his life. Nexus not being chipped away at, but the supers are starting to pour into the base. Multiple waves of double supers. Quickshot won't find its target. The Crow Storm goes in, and the Mad Lions go out. They've dropped Yike where he stands. Mikyx, BrokenBlade all dropping and running for their lives as the Nexus will be the next target. Mad Lions bounce back to even up the series.
Mad Lions managed to turn it around. they pick up so many of those early kills and just able to continue pushing forward. Did a great job in the mid game at securing those early Rift Heralds and just making sure that Yike just never had an opportunity to get rolling on this FiddleSticks.
I mean, it was just, as much as I think G2 made a lot of mistakes, they made so many mistakes. Caps was just making too many crucial mistakes in mid that lost them a lot of mid push, so that I feel like both sides could really start to play the game because Nisqy was unlocked, and then it's just a case of not throwing it away and not getting caught out by their comp, but they suppressed G2 after those mistakes very well, and G2 need to do a lot of rethinking when it comes to how they're moving around the map, how they're playing it. You know, the FiddleSticks ult bot was good, they got 2 kills, but they lost Heralds for it. Then they lost top tower, and then Chasy had top push into other lanes. So there's a lot of trade-offs here that I think G2 needs to maybe think about.
Yeah, this game doesn't really help and make me very enthusiastic about Mad. It kind of felt like it was like, okay, well, G2 are just throwing this game entirely, and Mad Lions are like, great, like, we are a professional team. We can take a lead and close out a game rather than anything else. So I think coming into this, I want to see more still from Mad Lions in the early stages, because even though they were getting the wins, they weren't really the team that was setting up those. It was just massive mistakes from G2.
I get it. Reaction as opposed to proactive
I feel like a
play.
disappointed dad.
Well, we're going to find out. 1-1 in the series. We're going to head to the post-match at the Analyst desk.
Yeah, I just feel like last game we said that, you know, was it BrokenBlade outplaying what happened? And then the consensus was, yes, but if you were given those advantages by the enemy team, congratulations to you for capitalizing on it. We're not paying Mad the same respect then,
Okay,
apparently.
but we also saw Caps do what he did in mid lane, right? He
Yes,
legit just went,
to that point, kind of what Chasy did in game 1, right? So to that point, you still have to win the game off that. I'm being devil's advocate. I hate when people say that, but that's what I'm doing.
I think Matt did a great game.
Absolutely.
It didn't look flashy, you know, but their fundamentals are on point. I feel like the way they got their leads, you know, from Elyoya matching Yike on the first top lane gank, I feel like that was already G2 losing a big win condition, because when the game stabilizes like that, they get to do a lot more. After that, we saw them proxy the top lane and sit between the towers, and given that they know that at one point jungles can be mismatched, and I think G2 failed a play on the bot lane one time, and everything just went out the window. And yeah, after this is like the proxy will happen here. They get to stay here. They're gonna drag Mikyx all the way from bot lane. They get to track the jungle camps when they get to respawn and whatnot. And after that, they can just live in the enemy top side, because once you get a small lead like this on top lane, especially against a pick like Kled, you get to snowball, because Renekton, there's a reason why he's the strong, dominant pick in the top lane.
Yeah, and you know, Dagda was asking for proactivity. I will say Elyoya was super proactive about that top lane. I think mid lane was where I thought it didn't think. The rest of the map for Adlines were simply making plays. You saw the top lane proximity there. In summer, Elyoya didn't care about his top lane. At least it felt like that from the gameplay that he had. Coming into the season finals right now, and even against the series against XL, it was at 15. Now in this, the first game was 16. Then in this game, game 2, 39% spent around the top lane. That was literally a game where they said, right, top lane dives didn't work earlier, but we'll try it again, even harder than we did earlier, and we'll make it work this time. And they absolutely shoved BB out of the top lane to the point where he couldn't even play.
And couldn't take over like he did in game 1, and I'm glad we called that out, that it was, you know, great play from Mad Lions to get that top lane in the state they wanted it. But in the same vein, we also have to say Caps mid lane a few times, and there were some thoughts of maybe he thought that Azir was out of mana, whatever, but we've seen this from Caps like a couple of times, I think, and you know, it's hard to control from that point on.
Yeah, because I think this is the mistakes from G2 that you can classify as them giving the opportunity rather than an outplay, because the rest of the map, I think that Mad Lions was, they were proactive, they were making the plays, they were cross-mapping when Yike was on the bot side. This TP in the middle of a minion wave where you don't even have vision of the top side of the bush, it's just greedy. That's all I can say.
Yeah, it's a bit too much. That's what tends to happen with Caps. You know, he gets a little bit ahead of himself. He gets too much confidence.
But this is well on the play that's already lost.
Yeah, I mean, it's
you
just...
gotta press that ult as Fiddle.
Yeah,
you gotta.
Yeah, it was a bit of a silly game. I would love to see in game 3 when both teams kind of, you know, got the silly game out of the window. Mad Lions in game 1, G2 in game 2 right now. I would love to see, you know, because I feel like there was maybe a little bit of disrespect coming through. When you get to storm game 1 like this, it's easy to get ahead of yourself, even though I don't think they did it that much. But I feel like their draft adaptations could have been a little bit better for this game.
Yeah, but I also think gameplay-wise, this is one of the map movements from Mad Lions that's great. You already got the top lane turret, move Chasy into the mid lane, have the priority where BB is still catching waves. The rest of G2 is not in a position to respond. The bot lane from Mad Lions moved for the G2 bot lane as well. There were really good map movements in this game that allowed them to close out the game with the leads that they got. So yeah, I'm super happy with the way Mad Lions played as soon as they had the gold lead.
Yeah, this is something that I really like from Mad Lions. They have this tendency that they do a lot when they win. They keep the map compact, you know. They never open on 3 lanes anymore. They just kind of, I wouldn't say they deadball, but since they always open the map on 2 lanes, they have a lot of play options because a lot of times you have numbers advantage, especially because the losing team will usually open on 3 lanes because they need to kind of maximize farm to find a way to get back into the game. And Mad Lions kind of took it away just because of the way they were opening with their map and playing together.
Matt is going to move back to the red side because G2 selected blue as we have to draft up from game 2. Now, I feel like obviously Mad Lions has a good draft, right? And from G2, I think you're hesitant to say anything because you don't know how maybe they're going to make it work. They didn't. So what are we thinking now?
I want a temperature check on Yike. It's been 2 weeks in a row now where game 2 he's been allowed to pick a new champion.
It's true, that's
Evelyn.
a tendency.
This is one is FiddleSticks. And you know, next week is he going to do the same? I feel like him picking up a new champion might go down a little bit in terms of priority.
It is a tendency we've seen, yeah. But
I'd love to play devil's advocate here because we say this, but all of a sudden, if he would have popped off with Fiddle this game,
yeah.
Then Mad Lions goes into game 3 and they're like, okay, Ivern, super strong meta pick. It doesn't work because they have this Fiddle response. What do? We need to create something completely new. We need to find a brand new jungler that is really good because they seem to have answers against everything. So we saw this from Razork as well yesterday. Game 1, sure, it was a draft. It was a bad draft. You know, they had Karthus with 3 losing lanes. But he didn't shy away from it. In game 2, he came back with the Karthus, he got 5k goal lead, and then everyone talked only about this pick and how good it was, and they even forced the ban. So
you want to see the FiddleSticks again in this game?
Okay, I would.
First pick on blue.
I would love. Okay, not first pick on blue, but I would love to see the FiddleSticks again, maybe, but with a little bit more win conditions, because I feel like this game it was make or break by the top lane. Because if Kled gets ahead with having Kled, Nautilus, and FiddleSticks, you can set up the map a lot easier. But you don't have enough stability. So I feel like if they get to have a draft where the win conditions are a little bit more reliable, I can see FiddleSticks working because also in Rogue, when we were playing with Inspired, he was the only one in the world playing FiddleSticks, and it was terror.
It was. Well summarized. So maybe we see it again. But Ender's got an update about the MVP.
A very important update. Now, for some people, winning means everything. For other peoples, it's the shiny things that are a little bit more important, like trophies. Now, we're all familiar with the unofficial World Championship belt, right? Whoever wins Worlds, next team that beats them claims it, and so on and so forth till the end of time. I want to introduce that for the MVP. Of course, Mikyx won MVP for the year earlier this week, but who's killed him? Let's run it through, because right now, it has left his hands. Back in game number 1, Elyoya ended up killing Mikyx in this little bit of a silly turret dive when the minions ran out and the turret came in clutch. Maybe it actually belongs to the mid lane turret, as a matter of fact. But then Elyoya runs up top lane and the top father himself steals it away in this insane 1 versus 2 outplay. More on that is BrokenBlade didn't die in the rest of game 1. Makes sense. And yet somehow, I think BrokenBlade knows that he's the holder of the unofficial MVP trophy because he refuses to die when his entire team falls. He's sitting on his spawn. Like, what is that? It's insane. So right now it belongs to BrokenBlade, and I want you to tell me in chat with those spammy little fingers of yours who you think is going to have it by the end of this series. Either of these 2 teams. It could be up in the air for anyone. That's more important than the series, but the rest of the series is to follow.
Level 6, it's time for the Crow Storm! Carzzy forced to cleanse and flash away, and Hilly's already dead. Yike is going to step forward once again, throws down the ultimate, gets zapped in the face and shot by Summer.
They don't have flash, Garrus don't have flash.
Fiddle is looking told, I don't have any.
Hit it.
Okay, Nisqy.
Escape!
Okay.
I can go. No need, just flash. One more. Tower.
Tower no.
Thanks, bro.